All right, here we are this morning for the Supreme Agent 1 app training. And this is on April 1st, 2026, going over that true value analysis calculator as well as all the other accoutrements. So we are going to start where the app always starts us anyway, which is on the buyer tab. So keep that in mind when you open it on your computer or you open it on your phone. It is going to always open to that buyer tab. So if you're running those quick seller net sheets, just make sure you switch over to seller before you start running those numbers. Can't tell you how many times I've done that. All right, so we are going to start with an address, and I'm just going to use addresses that I know very well to use for my examples. So you don't know, this is Tracy's address. And I like to use this one because I know all of her information, so I can kind of speak into it a bit. Like the taxes. So for an Indy Atlantic property, 2,200, almost 23 is very low, as we know. You're not going to get anything beachside for less than, whatever, like $5,000 taxes. So keep in mind that these numbers are going to be based off of the most recent tax bill. And Tracy has been living in this house for going on 20 years. So she is very grandfathered into these tax rates, but you'll see more toward the end, it's going to give us a suggestion for a different tax amount. This is definitely the low end. So for now, I'm just going to hit done. For the home price, I'm going to do a nice even 500,000. Now for the down payment, you see it defaults 10%. I can put 20% and avoid PMI, but just a little nuance that saves you time. As soon as you add another zero, it jumps it over to a dollar amount instead of the percentage. So anything over 100, it'll just default to a dollar amount, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to switch that back over to percentage and do 20% to avoid PMI. Our interest rate, that is going to be the most accurate interest rate that there can be. So if you have this on your phone, make sure you have automatic updates on the app so that way it can continuously refresh itself. Everything that you see on here as far as data goes, any pre-loaded data is going to be pulled from either National Association of Realtors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, everything is going to be as reputable and as accurate as possible. And when I say this thing updates, it really does. Like I did one time a couple years ago, a training only a week apart, and it was when rates were kind of jumping around all over the place, and the rate had actually changed just within that 1 week, and it reflected here. So you never have to worry about that. The term going to default to the 30 years. Buyer agent commission, they obviously added this field when the BBA came out. So you see there anywhere there's a little drop down means that you can open it up, and you see there's different types of compensation. So if you didn't want to do the commission label and do a buyer broker fee, buyer agent fee, etc., you can switch that here. Um, Again, you can change the percentage, and then you can change if it's paid by the seller, the buyer, or if it's split. I'll keep it as it is right now. Any seller concessions you can put right here. Miscellaneous. So anywhere you see a gear is something that you can click into and get a little bit more detail on. So miscellaneous are things that you can add to the buyer's closing costs or subtract from the buyer's closing costs. You can name items at your leisure. You can also go to the drop down and pick from these three common items that are usually added to closing costs, these three items that are usually deducted from closing costs. And then that can be a percentage or a dollar amount as well. And if you wanted to add more fields, you could just add field on both sections right there. Our insurance, and then there's our taxes. But once I hit compute, it's gonna give me something else. So just give us a second on that. HOA, I know it just went up actually, so I'm gonna put 250 monthly, but you see you can do quarterly and annual. And for those of you who have listings in Vieira Suntree area where there's like 5 HOAs, I've asked them about this. Since the company's based out of Texas, they don't really get that a lot. And to change the whole program just for their Florida clients, they're not down with it. So what you can do is you can add all of the HOAs together and then put it as either an annual or split it into quarterly. So that closing date, I want to make sure I push out by a month And that's just going to be important as far as our prorations. So I will put it for the first. Probably should have put it for the 30th, but whatever. All right, so here is the tax difference that I was talking about. So here's the 2025 recorded tax. Those are Tracy's taxes. That is not going to be what an incoming buyer is going to be seeing on their taxes for this home. So what you can do is you can do this estimated annual property tax based off of the millage rate. But as you can see, this one's showing for Cape Canaveral. So if I hit the little drop down, it's going to open up all of the millage rates for every city in the county. So I just go to Indy Atlantic and I hit that one, hit done. And now it's loaded the Indy Atlantic tax rate. And that number, ladies and gents, is super high. And we know for sure that our clients are not going to be seeing that high of a number on their taxes. And the reason is because this is not including any homestead exemption or any other exemptions. So this is the very, very tippy top high end of what any taxes could possibly be on this house. So if you wanted to give them this number, do so. I maybe personally would have stuck with the Cape Canaveral millage rate. Even though it's not the correct millage rate, that $7,000 is a little bit closer to what they'll probably be paying as taxes on the home in Indy Atlantic with their homestead exemption, etc. So if you want to finagle the bagel like that, go right ahead. Or you can just provide them this number, $9,200. And when you present this to them, you say, hey, don't panic. This is a preliminary estimate, and this tax number is on the very high end. You're not going to see a number that high because this is not including homestead exemption. But I'd rather quote you too high and save you money in the long run rather than quote you too low and then you have to pay more money at the end when you go to your closing, right? Be a hero, not a zero. That's kind of the long and short of it. So I am going to use that number for our quote. Okay, so here we go. We got a couple of things to work with here. Now, on the estimate results, we have two different graphs, right? We have the closing costs, what they're bringing to the closing table, and their monthly payment amount. Because again, we are on the buyer side, right? So let's say I'm their realtor. I've been meeting with them. I know that the conversation has centered around the fact that they cannot afford more than $3,800 a month. That's their cap for their monthly payment. But as we can see here, that is a bit higher than that. So what I can do if I'm sitting with my client, say, hey, let's play around with this. So I can hit edit, put in 3,800 here, click done, and now the entire rest of the quote is going to recalculate around that number. So, okay, client, we can absolutely get you that $3,800 monthly payment. However, what you have to bring to the closing table is going to be much closer to 31% rather than that 20%. And that's a pretty substantial increase. Do you have that kind of liquid cash to bring to the closing table? Oh, no, I don't. No, I only really have 150,000. That's my cap on my closing, like on my down payment. Okay, well, with that being said, then maybe we need to realign our expectations of the type of house that we're looking for you. Mind blown, right? I mean, the conversation rolled organically exactly in the direction that it needed to go. You're able to now have really difficult conversations with your clients. That's a difficult conversation of crushing their dreams of the type of home that they can have, the budget of the home that they can have. But you're not the bad guy now because they literally watched you do it right in front of their faces. The proof's in the pudding, ladies and gents. It's right there. So that is a really powerful tool, I think. Now, on detail closing costs, if we open that up, you can always edit that. So we have some prepaids up here, but as far as the title fees, if you know that your buyer has a pretty recent survey that they can use, We can take that off here. If, we've talked about adjusting the closing fee, excuse me, we can adjust that here. And then down toward the bottom, we aren't able to adjust those because those are the prorated prepaids and like set fees, like the doc stamps and taxes and HOA dues. But you can add items to this as well on every section. Okay, so I'm gonna hit done there just to know everything on here is very easily manipulated. You can really play around with everything, customize it to your needs. So look at this button. It looks like a phone with some arrows. That's exactly what it is. And if you were on mobile, you would want to turn your portrait lock off so that you can turn your phone to the side. When you turn your phone to the side, this is what you see, or if you hit that button here. Okay, client, I understand that you can only afford $3,800 a month. We've talked about that. But as you can see right here, if you offer 10,000 more dollars on this property, which is a very competitive offer, you're only increasing your monthly payment by $75. At this point, in this economy, that's like a lunch with your spouse. Not even dinner. That's lunch, right? So, can you forego one lunch per month with your spouse to be able to afford your dream home? I think most people would say yes. And right here in the gear, you can adjust the increments. It doesn't have to be five or 10,000. It can be five. It can be all the way up to 100,000. And then you can show it as the difference itself. I like to show it with the plus 75, but you can also show it this way where it shows the totals. And then you can share it right here. Okay, so I thought that was a cool tool as well. Now at the top, we have our estimate, and if we were on our phone, we would just swipe to the right or swipe to the left. So if we swipe to the left, we see we have a modified offer tool. So this is just kind of different options that you can present to the buyer. You can use this modified offer. It's taking what we put in over here and making small adjustments that might be beneficial to, getting the offer accepted or making it work for the buyer a little bit better, what have you. You can always make adjustments to this. You don't have to use it. You can edit it and then you can add different options alongside it and it kind of just lays it all out really nicely. If this is something that you feel uncomfortable doing because it's providing, numbers to a client that normally a lender would probably do, you're more than welcome to invite your lender, your preferred lender, to join Supreme Agent One here, so that you and your lender can provide quotes simultaneously to your clients. And they all look really nice and kind of similar. They're all branded the same. So they are more than welcome to join this. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to check and see if anybody was having trouble joining the meeting. Okay, so that was our modified offer tool. Now, on the other side of the estimate, if we were to have swiped to the right, we get loan details, and that's just really breaking down the loan that we ran over here. It has everything laid out and including a full 30-year amortization schedule, which is awesome for investors and lawyers and engineers and the people who really like to see that kind of stuff. You can download it, you can send it as an email. Now going back to the estimate, right? So if I was on the loan details on my phone, I would have just swiped to the left, come back right here. Now I've made my adjustments and I think I'm ready to send it to my client. So I'm going to share or print PDF. Ooh, sorry. Must be getting a package. So we, So this is one of the templates that it pre-selected for me. Both of my little pie graphs are on there, which looks really nice when you send it over, very professional. And then it has the breakdown of all of the costs here, goes on to a second page with all of the closing costs. And then there is a field where you can add notes of your own. And this will always be branded to you. So I'm having a little bit of a problem adding my profile photo. I've tried to do it multiple times and it just won't stick. So I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. But normally your headshot would be right here and then the information would just kind of get bumped over to the right. So my information should be here and then you should see my face, but you don't. And that would be you, your face right here, your contact information right here, and your company logo right here. Our logo is always going to be right there because we are providing the fees. But this can be your logo. So it's all branded to you. And then as far as templates, we have a lot of different options here that are pretty fantastic. So you have a really simple one right here, and then they get a little bit more fancy, a little bit more artistic. So this one showed up yellow. That's weird. Everything showed like blue over here. I wonder what that is. Oh, because I set the color because that's something that you can do on here. Sorry, that was kind of a lame segue. I'm gonna take that back. But I'm gonna pick red because that's Supreme Title red. And while we're here, I might as well show you that you can also choose your language. You can translate this quote into 14 different languages, which is so incredibly powerful. If you have foreign clients and you're able to provide them a quote in their own native language, you've won. You have completely won. And we have a lot of different, very common options as far as like people who move to Brevard. We have a huge Vietnamese population, Hindi and Punjabi, absolutely. We're getting a ton of Brazilians moving here right now. So a lot of Russians. So there is a really, really good, powerful tool here for you to be able to connect with your clients on a different level. So I'm going to update it with my red. And then just in certain places, it changes to red. This open space is supposed to have my headshot on it, so that would have your headshot. See, as you can see right here on the little guy. And it just, again, nicely breaks everything down. So, as well as the quote itself, on the buyer tab and in the premium under infographics. And I want to just be very clear about the two places on the app that you can find these are through the buyer tab and in premium infographics. You have what are called home reports or geo reports. And these are neighborhood reports that give information about the surrounding area around the home. I hope your eyes are getting really wide and jaws are dropping to the floor because this is one of my favorite parts of the app. I think it's so amazing to have this at your fingertips instead of having to do all of the research yourself. It's all right here, and it's all provided by a company. So, not provided by you personally, giving you liability of where this information is coming from. No, 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 no. All your liability is gone because everything says provided by. And then more liability taken off your shoulders. There's always a disclaimer at the bottom that all numbers are estimates only. Disclaimer, this no, this they say it in a different way on some of them, but I don't have it memorized. But as you can see, you have sound scores. How loud is it in the neighborhood? How easy is it to walk around? Comparing internet speeds, schools. Some of the reports have the ratings with the schools. You have local convenience. And this is even giving like a little summary of what an incoming buyer can maybe expect. And there's so many different styles of these. As you can see, that one kind of preloaded the red into it to go along with my brand. So whatever your pre-selected color was, it will upload that automatically into certain things. Like this one, it didn't. This one is gold all the time. It's not able to be changed. So you'll see that like if you go into customize, see this one can't change languages and this one can't change colors. So if it's not there, it's just not available for this design. Okay, but I mean, this is pretty incredible, if you ask me. And I want you to notice that this one does not have any school information on it. So this is something that I usually talk about more when we're in the marketing side of everything, but really think about your demographic. Like, who are you speaking to when you're sending this to somebody? I'm a millennial that bought a home for my dog to have a big backyard. I have no children and I'm not married or anything. So I don't need to see any school information. So if you sent me a geo report with school information on it, I would be kind of turned off because it would show me that you don't really know who I am. You don't know what my goals are for the place that I want to live. But if you were to send me one like this that has no school information, I'd be like, "Oh, that's great. This is awesome. This is exactly what I want to see. How close is my closest Starbucks?" That's definitely what I want to know. So you see there's different themes. Like this one looks very Eastery or springy, just like my background. Oh, this is so pretty. This one's like a new one. So anyway, you get the idea. They're really amazing. And again, only available through the buyer tab and in the premium infographics. All right, so I am going to move on to the seller tab right now. Again, if you have any questions, you're just going to put them in the chat. If you have questions about the buyer side, put them in the chat now so you don't forget. And here we go on to the seller side. So I'm going to roll through this a little bit more quickly since it looks pretty similar. Same address. Ooh, oh my goodness. There we go. Okay. And by the way, these addresses are powered by Google, so you know that they're always going to be very accurate. And if you have a condo that you're trying to pull an address from, it will pop up automatically all of the units in that condo so that you can select the correct unit and get the correct taxes for that unit. So there's our taxes again. But now, since we're on the seller side, this is exactly accurate. We're not going to get another suggestion for any higher taxes because this is going to just be a prorated amount based off of what she's currently paying, right? So I'm going to hit next. Now, because we're on the seller side, it's asking me for an interest rate. And it's saying we found a loan recorded in November of 2021 for this amount. And if Tracy were in the Zoom room with us right now, I'd be like, "Hey Tracy, what'd you do in November of 2021?" Because remember I told you Tracy's lived in this house for almost 20 years. So how could there be a new loan in 2021? Refi. So Tracy refinanced when the rates were super low, our smart little cookie, and she got a whopping 2.5 interest rate. That lucky duck. So that is something to pay attention to. If you have those conversations with your clients anyway about the history of their ownership, but definitely understand what payoffs they have, if they have a second mortgage to add or anything like that. So I'm going to compute. Again, if Tracy were here, I'd be like, "Hey Tracy, is that your payoff?" And she'd say no. That's very much higher than her actual payoff. And why would that be? You have to sometimes read the fine print a little bit. So this is assuming regular payments on a 30-year fixed loan. Not only did Tracy make extra payments at the beginning of the loan, she was paying, I think, an extra like $400 a month, but it's also a 15-year loan. So we have a couple of factors here that are definitely affecting this balance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the balance. I don't even have to come up with a number. All I have to do, and I don't even have to put those extra payments that she made in there because she didn't do it for long enough to make that much of a difference. I think only about 6 months. All I'm going to do is change this term from 30 years to 15 years. That is her payoff. Significantly lower, right? I mean, it changed it drastically. So, yeah, definitely make sure you know the term of the loan. If you're gonna include the payoff in here, this is important. Um, and now you can see just changing that to a 15-year term knocked us down by almost $40,000. So I'm gonna use that for the estimate. Sales price, again, I'm just gonna keep it at that 500. Now, since we're on the seller side, it's showing us both of the commissions. It does say broker fee, so I could just come in here and change it to whatever I needed. So 3%, 3%, all paid by the seller. Fine. Any seller concessions can go in here. Miscellaneous. So if there actually used to be, instead of a seller concession field, there used to be a field for repairs. So I always thought it was a bit of a gratuitous field to have because you can just put repairs in miscellaneous. You can hit the gear, add the items, name, itemize it out, or you can just say repairs as a total amount and put it right here. Our taxes, our HOA 250. There's our loan balance. There's the seller interest rate that I put in there. And our closing date is already pushed out by a month, so that looks good. Reissue rate, or also called reissue credit. It's something at the title company, very easy. If you sell the home within 3 years of the purchase, you get a discount on your title policy. And that's across the board. You don't have to have closed it with us initially to get that discount. No matter what, if a seller is selling their home within 3 years of their purchase of that home, they get a discount on their title policy. That's all it is. So compute, I'm going to leave it off because that would not be the case here. Oh, my cup matches my background. Okay. So our net looking at 266. Now, I'm Tracy's realtor, right? And when I was meeting with her, she had told me that she needs to walk away from the table with $300,000. That is a must for her. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to edit that number, make it 300, ooh, and hit done. And now because I set my number here, it's going to recalculate the quote around that number. Really bumped our sales price up by quite a bit, right? I had 500,000 there before. So 535, oof, that's crazy. It's a big increase. And we all know the market well enough to know that that much of an increase is going to make the house sit for a long time, right? And that could be a conversation that I get to have with Tracy now, showing it to her. Like, hey, Tracy, that net amount, once we changed it to 300, as you said you needed to get, you saw how it bumped up that sales price. And, we kind of talked about how the market works as far as overpricing and pricing appropriately. So I mean, this is going to make your home sit on the market for quite a bit, probably over 6 months. And what if she says, who cares? Whatever. I have other investment properties. Like, I'm not itching for the money or anything. I just want to make sure I get that 300,000. Okay, Tracy, but allow me to direct your attention to, if I were to swipe right on my phone, this holding cost graph. So, Miss Thang, if you list this home at this super high price, and we're sitting for over 6 months, I won't even look at that one. Let's look at the 9 month one. Just in your insurance, interest, HOA, and taxes, you are going to be spending over $13,000 by then. But where's the principal, right? Where's lawn care? Where's pool care? Where's home cleaning? Where's, if you get monthly pressure washing, any monthly utilities, water, any monthly recurring expense, see, it says edit and add monthly expenses. Do it right here. You click into there, you put in where you can, especially like utilities. I would take the last three and average those out. And then under other, oh, add as much as you can there because as much as this number can go up, that will convince Tracy to not list at this super high price because it's just going to make her essentially break even, or she's going to end up losing money in the long run because she's not going to sell the house for, 535. She's going to have to end up selling it for 515, right? As we all know how it works. You can also change the timeline. So this is a long timeline. This is 3 to 12 months. If I wanted to, I could change months to days, and now my timeline is much shorter. I have 1 to 4 months. And this you can just send as a PDF. You don't even have to be like, hey, look at this, look at this. You could just be like, hey, just, take a look at that when you can. I'm here to talk about it. Very like not accosting to them. But I think that this is a really powerful tool. And I want to make a mention that the holding costs, as we're seeing right here, are a really big part of that true value analysis calculator that we're going to do next. Plays a very large role. So you can do them here as a full graph on its own, or you can go straight to this true value analysis and kind of into have the holding costs be integrated into this other market analysis that you're already doing. So that was my holding cost if I were to swipe right from my net sheet. If I were to swipe left from my net sheet, I have a multiple offers tool. This is something you can really get very nitty-gritty into. Escalation clauses, contingencies, the buyer agent's name, going into closing costs and making adjustments. Whatever you got to do, you can do it in here. You can add new offers. So just list them all out. Let's say, I know it's not really the market right now, but let's say somebody gets five offers, but you know, as their real estate advisor, that two of those offers are going to get them almost exactly what they're looking for from the sale. You can put a little star next to those two and still send all five over. Like, hey, here's all of them. I want to present all of them to you, but those top two with the stars, definitely pay super close attention to those. I think that's going to be the best way to go. So that is definitely a good tool there. And by the way, multiple offers has its own separate calculator in the calculators tab. You don't have to run a full seller net sheet to get to multiple offers. You can go right in here. So back to my net sheet, sorry. Now, if I were to hit this button, which is the phone with the arrows, just to turn your phone to the side, this one is saying, how much will I net at close? If you accept an offer 10,000 more, you're going to net about 10,000 more. I personally don't feel like this one has as much oomph as on the buyer side, but it is there if you need it. Same with the detailed closing costs, like we saw on the buyer side, you can make adjustments there. And on the share print PDF, we have all the same options here. To email, by the way, you email it directly through this app. You put your client's emails in right here. Your email will automatically be CC'd on it. And then you'll get a summary of the numbers in the body of the email and then the full attachment. Just something to note about sending it via email through the app, it will come from Palm Agent Inc. That's what the incoming email will look like for your client. So if you want to tell your client, hey, just look out for an email, Palm Agent Inc., great that you can send it this way. If you want it to strictly come from your email address, your email server, all you got to do is download it and just attach it to whatever email you want to send them. Definitely save your estimates. Big big time save them, even if you don't think you're going to use it again. I just suggest you do it anyway. You can always delete it later. And any saved estimates are going to be up here in the estimates tab. If you're on your phone, the hamburger menu, which is the three lines, you hit the three lines and it's going to be in that menu. Also, just we don't have those not the net sheets, we do have the net sheets. We don't have those geo reports on this side. So those neighborhood reports, those home reports with all the convenience and the sound score and the walking score and the schools and all that, not on the seller side, only through buyer and premium infographics. Okay, that was the seller side. I am now going to jump into this true value analysis calculator. Let's look at this calculators tab first because there are over 22 calculators on here. I mean, lots of options for you and your business. Just so much success on one tab right here. So there's our true value analysis. We're going to jump in a minute. Holding costs. They made the holding cost graph its own separate calculator. Finally, love them for that. So you can always just go straight here instead of going through a seller net sheet. You have a buy down calculator. It does, excuse me, the 2-to-1 buy down as well as the 3-2-1 buy down. Sell or rent. Now, we've always seen this one, the rent versus buy, but now there's one for the seller side, sell or rent, which is going to make you more money. Love that one. Very innovative, I thought. buy now or buy later, comparing buying at a better price now versus a lower rate, kind of like what do you guys say about that? Marry the house, date the rate kind of thing. This kind of goes hand in hand with that. If you wanted to just see the title and escrow fees from us on a deal, that's what this would be for. Does not have all the bells and whistles or anything. It's very, very simple, and you need very little information to be able to run the quote. And that's the buyer with financing. That's the most information that you would need on anything. So, like, let's say it was a seller, you only need the home price. All right, so you have that. Then concession cheat sheets, compensation calculators, equity reviews, a home equity calculator, a flip calculator, and this is useful even for your personal life, right? If any of you are investors. iBuyer comparison and iBuyer multiple offers. I just want to touch on what they mean by iBuyer is those online seller representations like Open Door, Zillow, Redfin, those ones where they don't have an actual realtor. This is comparing that. Compare the cost of selling to an iBuyer versus the cost of listing on the open market. You're gonna win every time with that one. They also added an amortization calculator, but probably won't use that too often. All right, so let's jump into the true value analysis. Very fun stuff. So I want to just make mention of this. It was on the buyer side, it was on the seller side, and it's on every single calculator. There is a little play button at the very top. And this gives you a whole tutorial on what this calculator does for you. And it gives you a whole example that they run through. So you are always able to just play this. Zillow is working every day to replace it. Okay. That's the owner of the company, Jeremy. Nice guy. So you can always watch those if you're a little bit confused and want to see how it works in real time. So I'm going to do an example in real time for you, though. We have add an address as we have seen. So I am going to just add Tracy's again. Okay. Good. Since I'm running something for a seller with this true value analysis, so it is going to ask me those same questions that it did on the seller side. So I know her interest rate was 2.5. I'm going to make sure I edit that again to the 15-year term before I use it. Perfect. Now I can use it for the estimate. So here's our range. And this is what I was talking about, that this is a tool that allows you to run 3 net sheets at one time. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to start with market price. What is the appropriate price for this home? Just for the sake of our example, I'm going to say that it's 525. Oh, what did I do? Oh my gosh, sorry. I clicked something, like my finger slipped. I so apologize. It's just relogging me in. No worries. Just going to go back to what we were doing. Sorry about that. Okay. Just running through this again real quick. Thank you for your patience. I will make sure my finger doesn't slip again. Okay. Now I'm going to put 525 for the market price. For the low end, I'm going to put 500. And these are just because they're clean numbers to work with, very easy to follow along with. And on the high end, I'll put 550. So now we have our range. This is going to be the prices, the sales prices for the 3 quotes that it's basically going to pull up for us. There's our seller loan info that it pulled from the information I gave it. And now here's the section for holding costs. And this is where I said that holding costs are very crucial to the true value analysis calculator, and it plays a very large role. That's where this is. So HOA we know is 250 a month. Electricity, let's just say, is 150. I'll do 200. She's got kind of a big house. Okay. She doesn't have gas, so I'm gonna do 0. Internet, I believe, $65 a month. I believe she does. She bundles with her phone bill and all that. Water, I'll do 80. Trash, 30. Maintenance costs. Mm, let's just do 150. Like for a month, I think is pretty average. Now, utilities, there is a little drop down here, so let's see what that is. Now, you can adjust this to either show utilities, but I think since we already put water and electric and everything, we already have the utilities on there. So I would maybe change this to lawn, pool, maybe the alarm company. She does have an alarm company. And then you can also add a custom label, which is pretty cool. So, like I said, something like a home cleaner or a pressure washer, something maybe that you get once a month that's not on this list, you can add as a custom label. She does live in a townhome, so she doesn't really have lawn care. It's part of her HOA payment. Same thing with her pool. So I will put alarm, and I'll just put that that is $20 a month. Okay, you also have this drop down for assumptions, and you can change those as well. You can put in commissions, 2%. And now here's a little section for reductions, but we're going to go over that in a little bit more detail in a minute. So I'll leave that blank for now. Okay, closing date, good. Compute. Let's take this in for a second. So this is what I'm talking about, 3 net sheets at once. Net sheet number 1, net sheet number 2, net sheet number 3. So you see the plus or minuses right here. This one's blacked out because you can't go less than a month. But this is saying how many months it's going to take to close at this price. So for our low end, yeah, it's going to be like 1 month. For the market price, 2 months seems pretty good. And I definitely think 6 months is accurate for that high market price. The balance of her principal reflects right here. The closing costs reflect right here. And it shows how the closing costs increase over time, which is very cool. Foot traffic. It shows how marketable the property is over time. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of foot traffic at the very beginning, but here you can see toward the end of those 6 months, you're barely going to get any showings at that point because people are going to think, what's wrong with that house? Why has it been up for so long? Then you have the holding costs right here. And this is based off of what we preloaded on this side. So if this doesn't look like what you want it to look like, you can go over here and make adjustments to that as needed. And this is showing ultimately what the net at close would be after that time and spending that money. So this is really powerful in and of itself. But then we have this toggle. That's what these things are called, by the way, if you didn't know. We have a toggle for reductions. What will happen when the home sits on the market? This is going to show them what that is because you're probably not going to end up selling at 550 after 6 months. You're going to have to reduce at some point. So this is showing reduction, 0, obviously, but 5%, a reduction by 5% is going to reduce it by this much, and that's what they're going to end up netting. So with this tool, this incredible, amazing, jaw-dropping, amazing tool, you're able to just, do that. And now you say to them, okay, I mean, I know that you really want that 300,000, Tracy. I get it. But if you see right here, ultimately, with the reductions that we're going to have to make over the timeline of the home sitting on the market, you're going to end up ultimately netting lower than if you just sold it right now at the appropriate price or at a low market price. And this is actually the market price, the appropriate one. And you'll net much more that way than if you try to let it sit and see what happens. Power. So much power in this. So we do have this little button with the phone to the side. Same thing, I would hold it like this and make it go like this. So what you'll need to sell it for, the sales prices represent the amount the property would have to sell for to make up for the holding costs over time while still netting the same amount at close. So this is setting your net and showing what the sales price would have to be with holding costs of, adjacent and how that would affect things. So current market price, et cetera, you can adjust this. I mean, there's just so much power in these tools. It's mind blowing, right? All right. So when you're at the top, we do have other options up here. So I know I didn't really adjust these, but just so you can see it, like it changes it immediately. Okay. Sorry, I'm just following my notes. Now, market stats. Okay. So the market stats at the top. This is now, if we were on our phone, I would just swipe to the right. Market stats. So it's building it for us. And what this does, it allows you to inform without offending your sellers. Um, so you want to focus, let's focus for now just on these top two numbers. You have median list price and median price of new listings. And this is based off of local data in India Atlantic. Okay. So obviously I wasn't doing my research before putting the price at 500,000. It's worth more than that, as you can see here. So you have new listing price, median list price. Let's see what's in that drop down. A little graph. Some of these things I'm seeing for the first time. Like that's the first time I saw that. That's so cute. I love that. Down by 2%, like just showing the trends. Like people say, "Oh, I want to let it sit and let, the market turn." Can't guarantee that. Look at this. Price per square foot, the average days on the market, median days on the market, how much the price decreased. Not how much, but how many. How many homes had a price decrease before the sale? That number is crazy. And you can even come down here and go to national data instead of local. Like this is just local to India Atlantic. This is national to give them a bigger picture. 62% of homes sold last month at or below list price. About 43% of homes sold last month included concessions. 17% of US homes for sale had a price cut. So market stats is just what I said. It allows you to inform without offending. Now, all the way to the right, so we're still swiping right. This last tab might look familiar to some of you more seasoned agents. This pricing versus timing graph has been used in the real estate industry for decades in one form or another. It's relevant here, connected to this other information, showing instead of telling. It has so much power. People, even if they say they're not a visual learner, everyone's a visual learner. Everyone does better when they see something versus just hearing it. And so this shows you that right out the gate is when you have the best time, the highest probability to sell at the highest price. And so this is something that you just have available to you. It's not anything that you have to manipulate. You don't have to put numbers into this. This is just a fact right here. And this is something that you can share as a PDF right to your clients if they're really playing hardball with you. So I think this calculator is incredible. We'll go back to TruValue. You have so much here to customize and manipulate and just show your clients that you're really the expert here, right? So that's under calculators. And again, if you have any confusion under any of the calculators, just press this little play button right here and you'll get a short tutorial. I think this tutorial was 2.5 minutes long. So I am gonna go into the premium side. Whoop, whoop. And I know we only have a few minutes, but this one, to me, as a marketing professional, I love this. I'm skipping estimates because that's just where your saved estimates are. So going into premium, this is what will pop up at the beginning of every month. So at the beginning of every month, you will get a monthly marketing package. You know what? I'm actually getting ahead of myself. Let me talk about premium and price really quick. So this company who hosts this app for us, they had to make the premium cost something because it's illegal via RESPA to have your title company provide you free marketing. So that is why it costs money. It is a whopping, for the premium version of this app, it is a whopping $10 for the entire year. Not $10 a month, $10 for 12 months. So it's a no-brainer. Please, I appreciate you all being in this training. And if you sign up for the premium and send me a screenshot, I will send you a $5 Amazon gift card, okay, to reimburse you for half of that price. Just because you showed up today and you stayed the whole time. And I really do appreciate that. So you let me know. I'll put my phone number in the chat and you can just text me a screenshot that you've signed up for premium and I will send you, I'll text you an Amazon gift card. So sign up for the premium. And not only do you get this whole side of like the premium side with the marketing, you also get all the personal branding on all your quotes. That's how you get, your headshot on there, all your contact info on there. You get access to all of the templates that are on the buyer and seller estimates. So you do get a lot with that $10 for the year. And I think it's very much worth it. So I just want to touch on that. Also, just to note that none of that money comes to Supreme Title. I'm not pushing that so that we get money from it. I push it because of the value that it has for you. All that money goes to the app developers, this company that hosts it. Okay, cool. So, monthly marketing package. If you have no creativity, if you have no time to worry about your social media this month, at the very least, just take this, a monthly marketing package that gives you suggestions for the month right here. Rates just dropped calculator, lock in or wait calculator, which is a great follow up to the rates dropping. The 2026 playbook. That's fun. It's like sports. Okay, so at the very least, you have 3 posts this month to keep yourself relevant and they're valuable. They speak to, your demographic, et cetera, et cetera. So every month has its own marketing package. So this has been like rolling over. And I just want to show you that they do have like a lot of different tutorials on here. That's my guy Mike. Hey Mike. Just to show you how to use what you have available to you here. Anybody recognize that guy? Tom Ferry? This is his favorite app. So if you're in any way still hesitant on diving into this after the class, just know that Tom Ferry puts his stamp of approval on this. So we have 2 categories. I'm just going to go down our little list right here. We have 2 categories for infographics. We have regular standard infographics, which are just one page, or we have swipeable infographics. So under the regular, I'm going to just see all. And now I have tons of options here, like so many, I don't even know where to start. So if there's something specific that you wanted to post about, you can search it right here. Make sure you check out these sizing options because this is amazing. You don't have to put it into Canva or anything crazy to try to resize it for what you're using it for. And I will say, now that I just brought Canva up, if you've been trying to learn Canva and figure Canva out and you haven't, this is just as good, in my opinion. You get all your branding on here, you get to pick colors, you get to put your logo on things. There's nothing on here that you wouldn't be able to do on Canva. And it's already pre-made for you on here. Like, don't make yourself crazy trying to do Canva. Because let me tell you, I make myself crazy trying to do Canva. And even if you know how to use it, sometimes you get lost in the sauce and you end up spending like 2 hours making a design perfect. Who has that kind of time when you're trying to run a business? Just use these. Use Canva for the things that like maybe aren't on here. But you have so many options, and I can't wait to show you. There are like photo frames and all kinds of stuff. So pick what you want from here. There's that fun playbook thing. Some things you will have to add an address or, plug in a couple of example numbers to be able to show some data. But for the most part, they pretty much have it preloaded and it's all really nice and clean and it's eye-catching, as you can see. It also always gives you a suggested caption and hashtags, which is awesome. You definitely don't have to use all the hashtags, but they are there if you want them. You can also share it directly to your Facebook through the app. You don't have to download and upload, but you can. And if you are going to do that, if you're going to download this to put it on social media later, make sure you download the image and not the PDF. Download the image, not the PDF. You cannot put PDFs on social. Okay. And that schedule on Facebook, if you connect your business page to this, it will go to your planner on your your Meta Business Suite, which is where you can manage your business page. Lots of cool stuff on here. So I'm gonna come back out. And again, if I just wanted to like make a Facebook post, I just click Facebook post, and now everything is sized for a Facebook post. It's perfect. So I'm coming to swipeable infographics. I just want to touch on this really quick. Some of these are going to be reflected here. They're going to be exactly the same. And why that would be is because they know that you want to maybe use the information in different ways. Like if you use the regular infographic as a Facebook post, the swipeable infographics, I feel, lend themselves very nicely to tapping through stories. So I always really like to use an example of like an Instagram story or a Facebook story, which by the way, they're shaped the exact same. So I could just do Instagram story and still put it on Facebook. It's going to be fine. And just kind of take a look at what these would mean to me on my story and how I could kind of manipulate things. So this information is now split. Instead of it all being on one page, it's split onto multiple slides. And that's why it's great for story because, the story, it just kind of rolls through. People can hold down their finger and pause it so they can read it. And something else you can do on here, when there is negative space, this one doesn't have a ton of negative space. A negative space meaning like empty space where there's no words. You can put stickers, you can put location, you can put music. You can actually even use these as green screen. Like let's say I use this flyer behind me instead of the grass. I could then be on the video on my story with the information behind me, and I'm pointing to it and talking about it. And now I'm not only engaging with valuable information, I'm engaging me in my own business. I'm being the expert saying, hey, this is about this, this is about this. If you have questions, reach out to me. Now there's a call to action for them to talk to you. And then at the very end, let's strategize. Again, my headshot should be there and it's not, and I am so sorry for that. But you can see right here where it would upload itself. And that's a call to action. Let's strategize. Lots of great options here. So those are infographics. They are exactly what they sound like, information heavy graphics. Now we have filters, and we've been on social media enough, I think, at this point. We all know what filters are for our photos. And when you click into it, you have tons of categories within the filters. So, yes, you still have the option to size it for what you need it for, but take a look at these. I mean, these are the new ones at the top, which I really like these, especially like the open house one where you can put all this great information on it, just listed. Now, when you go down from the new, now you get to where they're actually organized by what they provide you. So dynamic. Dynamic is going to have the most information on them. It's going to have the most text on the photo frame. So you can see this is a past client equity review. This one is pretty much just a listing, a just listed announcement talking about the home price, the address. This is bed, bathroom, square footage, the lit like the property square footage, and then the year that it was built. And you have your branding over here. So now it's not just posting a boring photo of the living room, even though that's not a very boring living room. I'm just saying, let's say you have a photo of a living room. Now you're not just posting the photo with a caption because no one will stop and read that anymore. You guys, you have, are you ready? A second and a half to capture someone's attention on social media these days. It used to be 3 seconds. Now it's a second and a half. It got cut in half. So if you don't immediately grab their attention with the photo content, they're going to just scroll right by. And I can tell you right now, with me being friends with so many realtors on Facebook, just like you are also friends with so many realtors on Facebook, I'm sure you see it all the time, just like I do. The photos of the house, and it's just like, congratulations to my seller, like in the caption. It's flat. It's done. It's over. Like we don't do that anymore. We have tools like this to where we don't have to do that anymore. We can be so much more fun about posting exciting announcements, like listings, like closings. So these rep filters you're not going to have. That's just for us as a title company. But you do have ones for the closing. Just like I said, accepted offer, said yes to the address, proud new homeowner. I mean, how exciting is that for like new home buyers? And look, all these different colors so that you can maintain your brand. Congratulations on becoming homeowners. It just makes it so much more special. You have a whole category for listing, so you can say beautiful kitchen. So it's not just a photo of the kitchen. Now there's some words on it to make people stop scrolling. Perfect living room. And by the way, I'm not clicking into any of these categories to expand them, but if you see all under every one of these, it opens them up and there's tons more options. I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm just rolling through it. There's a whole category for open houses, a whole category for hashtag realtor life. So you can take a selfie as master of multiple offers. Trusted home builder, number one secret hack to get the most money for your house. Let me list it for you. Ooh, spicy. We love that. And then seasonal. So you see there's a lot, or, oh, I don't know why there wouldn't be Easter ones yet. That's weird. There's probably ones from last year though. So you can see they update them for all the holidays and all the seasons. So yeah, if you just go back enough, it'll show that to you. All right, so those were filters. Two more categories, and I'm going to let you guys go. I know we're over time just a little bit, and we will address questions at the end. So we have two more categories that are actually, in my opinion, some of the best. Personalized videos, just you wait. And now I understand there's definitely not as many on here as there are like, infographics, but that's because these take a lot of time to create them, to animate them. But they pretty much have them for, the big stuff. So housing supply has grown recently. None of these videos are going to be longer than like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. So they're very digestible for your audience. I mean, look at that, 20 seconds. It's poppy. It shows the information in a really easy to digest way. And it's in a way that like they'll understand it, but they will probably have questions. And look at that. At the very end, again, headshot. But at the very end, I'm branded on this video. Like it looks like I spent hundreds of dollars with a marketing company to get them to make this for me, but I just got it for pennies on the dollar. If you break down that $10 for the year, I mean, what is it, half a penny per day or something? I don't even know. So this is incredible, I think, because that looks really, really professional and you can shape them for whatever you're using them for. Like this is videos are great for stories. You can shape it to be on your story. Last category, and this is a huge one. You know what this category used to be called? Lead generating calculators, because that is exactly what they are. I think legally they had to change the name to shareable calculators, but these are going to get you leads. I understand how it works. Thank you. Shareable calculators. So this is always my favorite one because we all want listings, right? And this is what gets you listings. I think this is so pretty, this background, and it's very like Florida sunset, but you can always change the background to one of these other ones. I mean, we have a lot of wheat in Florida, so this would be a great one to choose too. Sorry, just making jokes. Okay, so I'm gonna choose this one. Here's my suggested caption and hashtags. It's showing me like a preview of what it would look like on my Facebook feed. But before I post a whole calculator on my feed for other people to use, I want to try it out. So I'm going to try it out. And this is exactly like if someone were to click that link, this is what they would see. So give us a few details about when you bought your home. Okay, I bought my home for 500,000. Sorry, I went to sleep. Okay. Bought it for 500,000. My down payment, I put down 180,000. Now my loan balance, it's about 200. Been in the home for a while. Next. What do I think my house is worth today? Ooh, I know the answer to this one. $1 million. Like every seller. I know my house is worth $1 million. So I'm gonna hit next. And now, by the way, again, my headshot should be here, so much more like human to human connection. Want a more accurate estimate? Allow me to pull some information. I'll send you a detailed report for your property. And that captures then their home address and their email address. And if they want to say skip this step, this is what they see. They get this big flashy number in front of their face. And then, now that you've seen that, do you have any more questions? Again, headshot would be here, me looking you right in the eye, being like, hey, do you have any more questions? Contact me. Talking about equity, giving more information. Like they rejected you on the last page, right? Like they said, "Oh no, I don't want to give them my information. I'm skipping this step." And you didn't hard sell them. You're just, "Okay, you didn't want to give me your information. Here, I'm going to give you more information. I'm going to give this to you." And you know as well as I do that this is going to make them want to reach out to you. Pretty much guaranteed. So, if I were a realtor and I wanted to post on my social media, I would probably take this calculator, put it up there on my business page, and run an ad. I would run a boost for, Sarasota and Tampa area, and I would run it for West Palm Beach. I would run it for Miami, all the, areas in Florida where they might want to sell. I would run it there. That's just me, just a suggestion of how you can use things like this. So that is what I have for you today. I hope it was comprehensive and I hope you really loved it. I'm debating whether I should end the recording before the questions or after. I think before. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right now. Thank you so much for attending and I appreciate it. Stick around for questions.